Texas mom left 1-year-old home alone to meet a Hinge date.
You what?
Man, you must be crazy as hell. And it's bad, y'all. Like, you think like, oh, maybe she was just down the road, or she was half an hour away. Nope. Y'all, it's gonna get bad. Let's just jump right into it. You guys ready for this? YouTube, hit the thumbs up button. TikTok, hit the follow button. If you're new here, keep tapping the screen like crazy. Check this out.
This is an unbelievable one. A young mother is accused of leaving her toddler at home alone while she went to a completely different city to meet up with a man she met on a dating app. That is according to police in Texas. And they say when they went to check on this 16-month-old, they found him hanging out of a broken window. We're going to be digging into the details of
16-month-old hanging out of a window. Man, you sound crazy.
Of this strange and disturbing case and the consequences this mother could face. Reese Louise Myers, a 25-year-old Army veteran, is in some very serious trouble after she allegedly left her 16-month-old son home alone with dogs while she, get this, went on a date with a guy that she met on the dating app Hinge. Yes. That's the allegation now. That's what we're talking about. The story actually starts several months ago, so let's go back. Police in Killeen, Texas were alerted that they needed to do a child welfare check back in July because they went to this apartment complex, and what do they find? A toddler hanging out of a broken window of a ground floor apartment. They say neighbors were trying to help this child, especially because there was this aggressive dog that was near him. Not entirely clear if the dog was trying to attack the child or protect the child, but obviously a very distressing situation.
What the hell? Hanging out of a window? There's a dog there going crazy? This is nuts.
Now, according to an affidavit, the window wasn't shattered, but there was cardboard and plexiglass that had been used to cover it. Officers removed it to get inside the apartment. They found this 16-month-old wearing only a shirt. He was covered in feces. He had diaper rash. And officers say that it looks like Myers had intended to leave her baby alone for a long period of time. There were some
Man, you gonna burn in hell for that.
doors in the apartment that were closed. There was a baby gate blocking off the kitchen. There were deadbolts on the doors and windows that were locked. This is all according to the affidavit.
Was there food or water? Or better yet, was there an adult?
So, of course, police were very concerned and alarmed, and they called Myers right away. And she allegedly tells them that she's in San Antonio, more than 2 hours away. The affidavit says that she told officers that she matched with a guy on the dating app Hinge, went to San Antonio to meet up with him to go on a date. She claimed that she'd been gone since the day before. Now, Myers allegedly told police that, look, she had called a babysitter that she'd worked with before, that the babysitter was supposed to be looking after her child.
The babysitter was supposed to be looking after your child, but you didn't call or check in to see if everything was okay? Man, you sound crazy.
She said that she'd spoken with the woman before through Facebook. Problem is, police get in touch with that babysitter, and it turns out she apparently hadn't spoken with Myers since last year. Her phone showed she had no Facebook communication with her since December of 2023. And police also made contact with another woman, maybe former roommate of Myers, said she lived with Myers for a short while. She claims that Myers was neglectful toward the child, often leaving at night, not returning until the next day. The toddler was checked out at a hospital, taken to the care of Child Protective Services, and officers told Myers she has to come back immediately. Here's where there's another wrinkle in the story. She apparently didn't. Authorities ended up arresting her out in California on the Fort Irwin Army base. That's
what the hell? She said, oh, hell no, I'm going to fly to California.
Almost, 1,400 miles away? And now she was brought back to Texas. She's been in custody ever since. So according to her LinkedIn page, Myers is a veteran of the U.S.
Her LinkedIn page? Man, she wasn't linked in. This chick is crazy as hell. She's linked out. Man, leave your baby alone in your apartment and go to a city 2 hours away. Then the cops call you and say, hey, what the hell are you doing? Get back here. And you say, okay. And then you fly to California. Man, you are crazy.
Army. She had worked as a paralegal for a few law firms. And now she faces a charge of abandoning, endangering a child. The statute reads, a person commits an offense if having custody, care, or control of a child younger than 15 years, he intentionally or she intentionally abandons the child in any place under circumstances that expose the child to an unreasonable risk of harm. This is a third-degree felony. It carries a prison sentence of, our understanding, to be 2 to 10 years. I want to bring in former prosecutor, criminal defense attorney Florina Altschuyler to talk more about this. Florina, thanks so much for coming on.
Crazy.
My gosh, what do you make of this headline?
Very clearly, this is unreasonable conduct by a mother who is placing her own interests well ahead of the well-being of her very young 16-month-old child. This is not acceptable behavior, and this is criminal behavior. I think quite clearly, by leaving her child for that long without an adult being there, with a window that was broken but sort of temporarily fixed, with 2 animals in the house. How's this child supposed to feed himself? How's this child supposed to change himself? How's this child supposed to have access to hydration? Just completely, shockingly, unbelievably unacceptable, and quite clearly well within the definition of the criminal statute under the Texas
burning
Penal
in
Code.
hell. Yeah.
I don't see how she's going to get away with this.
Yeah, I've heard of creative defenses before. I'm struggling with this one. Is the fact that she kept the doors closed and, the idea of maybe she was confining the child to a certain area so the child couldn't get into other parts, that there wasn't an intention necessarily to abandon the child, that she was going to be coming back?
What the hell?
You what?
No. That is not a defense. That is crazy as hell. Oh, I was planning on coming back. That's why I blocked off the kitchen and the other rooms. You are going to burn in hell.
I don't know. Tell me if I'm totally off base.
Yeah, so there's a distinction under the Texas Penal Code between whether she's abandoning the child with intent to come back versus without the intent to come back. That doesn't make her not guilty of that lower level crime where there is an intent to come back. And in that lower level crime,
they mean like ever? Like, oh, I'm just never coming back? Versus like she's like, oh, I just left the kid alone for like a week. I mean, come on. He could feed himself for a week.
She's still looking at up to 2 years of state jail time plus a fine of up to $10,000. And that's if she's able to show that she had the intent to come back. If she did not have the intent to come back, that's a 3rd-degree felony in Texas. And in that case, she would be looking at up to 10 years in prison plus the $10,000 fine. So really, even if she can
even that doesn't seem like enough.
Look, I didn't abandon my child. Okay, maybe I did temporarily, but I had the intent to come back. Fine. You're not guilty of the higher level crime, but you're still guilty of the lower level crime, which has a 2-year state prison sentence.
And if she pleads guilty, could that be on the table, pleading guilty to the lower offense? And I mean, this is pretty bad. Do you think that there's any chance that she wouldn't get prison time even in a guilty plea?
The one factor that will play favorably to her, and always does in all courts, is the fact that she is a military veteran. Courts look favorably upon that. It sounds like she has a job history. Courts look favorably about that. The problem is she's not herself like an 18-year-old kid that has no idea how to parent. She's got a job history. She has military experience.
Yeah, she just crazy as hell. Y'all, her name, I don't know. I don't know what her name is. Hang on, I bet you I could find it if I go over here. Reese Myers.
This isn't rocket science. It's common sense. You do not abandon a 16-month-old child in a home by themselves with 2 animals. Again, how was this child to feed itself?
2 animals.
How is this child supposed to survive?
You better get charged for the animals also.
The child is halfway hanging out of
Unless they're cats, because cats can live forever by themselves. But if it's like a dog, man, you crazy as hell for that too.
this window when good citizens call authorities. What if the child fell out of the window?
I know.
I understand it's ground level. Okay, maybe the child wouldn't have died, but now you have a child out in the street, 16 months old.
Yeah.
Absolutely not acceptable. There's no gray area. There's no way to defend this. There's no explaining it. Take a plea, lady, and good luck.
San Antonio going on.
Damn, she said, take a plea, lady, and good luck. That's what I'm talking about. We need a shirt that says that. Take a plea and good luck.
On a date, admitting it to police. It's open and shut in that sense. But here's the part I'm confused about.
Nicole says, exactly, I'm worried about leaving my 16-year-old.
You what?
Exactly.
So she's arrested in California. Then she's extradited back to Texas this week. How come she wasn't hit with charges with respect to, I guess, essentially being on the run?
The question, the problem is, if she didn't know that she was going to be arrested, if there's no warrant out for her,
But if they told her you gotta come back, you gotta come back. Please, we're police. Come back. We just found your child in the state, and she doesn't show up. What do you think?
I think it just further goes to support her intent to abandon the child. I think it straightens the current charges in terms of fleeing.
Ooh.
I don't know. That may be a gray area. It's not clear why she's in California. I don't know if she had to suddenly.
Man, she's probably trying to get the hell out of Dodge. She's trying to Ellen. She's trying to end up in the UK somewhere, dyeing her hair and acting crazy as.
You what?
Oh, Lord. By the way, TikTok, hit that follow button if you're new here. Tap the screen like crazy. And hit me with these things right here. What's that called? Something dog or something? That's my life. Do it. No, the baby lived. Thank God. Thank God. YouTube, hit that thumbs up button. Let's get 100 likes. And thank you for the super chats, y'all.
Be there something related to her military service. I don't think we have enough information on that. But I don't understand how any parent can leave their child like that, be advised by authorities that the child is found in unsafe conditions, and just say, peace out. Not my problem.
And by the way, maybe they have to continue
It's
this
going to be her problem, though. Spiritual Diamond, thank you. Let's go.
investigation and see what she was up to during this period of time. And if she did have knowledge that the police were after her, if anybody helped her and that those people helped her knowing she was wanted, this case could expand.
Absolutely. It certainly can. But I think it is an open and shut case as to the charges that are now placed, especially with her admission that she went on a Hinge date. I mean, I can think of no more selfish
Man, you can go on a Hinge date. You went on an unhinged date.
Unhinged bananas crazy.
Yup. That is crazy as hell.
act when you have a young child. And what would it have cost her to find a competent, capable adult to watch this child if she so desperately needs
Probably less than what it costs to fly to California.
to go out? Parenting is tough. Nobody can parent 24/7 all the time. And that is not the standard. The standard is to act like a reasonable human being. The standard is to find somebody, a family member, a friend,
What's up, man?
hire a babysitter. She clearly knows to hire a babysitter. She's
Yeah.
hired this lady before in the December prior. So she's aware that this is an option. She just made a choice not to exercise that option. And that is not just a poor choice, it's a criminal choice in this case.
And that's clear, that knowledge component, and also the pattern. So you have this other former roommate saying, I saw similar behavior. She was neglectful of the child. That's really problematic. It makes me wonder if she actually were to take this to trial. Again, I don't know what the defense would be. What could she be looking at in terms of a punishment?
Right. So if she's
Years.
convicted of the lower level felony, she'd be looking at up to 2 years in prison.
And she would get that, you
if she's
think?
I think this is pretty egregious. It would be up to the judge to decide the sentencing. I think the favorable factors are that she's got this military history and she has an employment history.
Damn, she got things says open to work on it, man. You are crazy.
But really, I've seen clients who have a drug history be treated more favorably because there, at least, there's an excuse. You know, they're under the influence of a substance and they're exercising poor judgment because they're under the influence of a substance and they want to get treatment and they get.
Man, she was under the influence of something. That is crazy as hell.
Treatment and then they're better. Here we're talking about somebody who, under the facts that we know now, is not under the influence of a substance. She is acting rationally, except irrationally, right? She's coherent, she's of clear mind, and she's making a conscious and deliberate choice to put her own self-interests well ahead of a 16-month-old child. She wants to go on a date, and she frankly does not care what happens to her child. Being 2 hours away with no ability to timely come back. It's really just a horrible, selfish act. And I could see a judge, when she's convicted, finding those to be aggravating factors and sentencing her to a sentence that involves state jail time.
Any chance she could ever be reunited with her son in the future?
So the standard for reuniting a parent with a child is what is in the best interest of the child. And I think every parent should have the opportunity to be with their child and should be a positive influence on their child's life. She is still a young woman.
Shocker.
Clearly, she's smart enough and capable enough to work as a paralegal and to have had served in the military. So she has potential. I think she needs to take parenting classes. I think
potential.
You what?
No, she does not have potential. She does not have potential. No parenting class is going to make her realize that it was wrong to leave her kid for a day or two by himself and go to San Antonio for some hinging. You sound crazy as hell. Oh, well, just take a class. No, they're not going to teach you that in class. Do you think you go to a parenting class and a whole chapter of the book is like, well, if you get matched with somebody on Hinge, you shouldn't go. You don't go 2 hours away to be with some random person that you've never met and leave your kid alone. And then when your neighbors find the kid hanging out of the damn window and they call the police calls you, and then they say, hey, we've got your kid here. You need to get home. And then you say, okay. And instead of coming home, you fly from Texas to California. And then you get arrested in California.
You what?
That is crazy. But a class is going to fix that? No. I
think she needs to mature, and I think she needs to learn how to pawn that selfishness and narcissism and become a better parent. And I'm certain that eventually, when those become priorities in her life and when she exhibits the desire to change, she should be able to establish in family court that she should have access to her child.
Oh, hell no.
Perhaps start with supervised visitation, eventually unsupervised visitation.
No.
And maybe she can have her child back.
Hell no. That kid does not need to be anywhere near this lady.
Certainly when her child is old enough, her child will be able to make that decision for himself. But
yeah, and he better
separating
say,
a parent from a child permanently
you left me, I'm
is
leaving you.
A drastic measure.
Florina Altschuyler, thanks so much for coming on. I mean, I'm glad, look, at the very least, I'm glad this child is okay, because this could have been a
well, yeah, that part's it. Yeah.
Very different story that we were covering, as you mentioned, but just a really, really.
Yeah, can you imagine if the kid didn't make it? Dear God, you'd be going to jail for life. In Texas, they probably take you out.
Bizarre series of explanations here. But Florina, thanks so much for coming on and breaking it down for us. Really, really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.